All right, welcome to another Roofer to Roofer, the show where we go over your questions about how to run a roofing business, how to be successful in roofing. If anyone has any questions that's in the audience, just jump into the Q&A section here down at the bottom and type in your questions, and we'll address those. Otherwise, we're just going to go through some of the questions that we've gotten from outside the show. So the first question that we're going to go over is, how do I know what kind or what brand of underlayment to use when replacing roofs?
I mean, it's all personal preference, but at the end of the day, hopefully your goal is to become certified with a certain manufacturer, and it doesn't really matter which one. They all have, pros and cons to all of them. But if that's the route you're trying to go and you're trying to build a legitimate roofing business, then you should probably use the matching manufacturer underlayments and accessories that come with the shingles. If you're selling an Atlas roof, you should probably sell Atlas felt. If you're selling a GAF roof, you should probably buy Tiger Paw or a felt buster or whatever. So yeah, whatever shingle you're using, I would just match your accessories. You're going to spend a little more money, but it'll do two things. You'll be able to offer a little bit better warranty, even if you're not certified, I do believe. But you also start building a little bit of repertoire with that manufacturer that you're saying, hey, I'm putting my eggs in your basket. I'm buying your material. Can I start getting in your program? And usually they'll let you.
So there's no functional difference between different kinds of underlayment. There's not like good
Sure,
and bad
there is.
underlayment.
There is, but I mean, that's also one of those things that's like, just use it. You know what I mean? There's too many hacks out there that just don't even use it. If you're using any kind of decent synthetic felt, they're all good. Even some of the, we offer an option that's a non-warranted roof, essentially like a non-manufacturer warranty, and we use a generic. It's actually a local company that makes this felt, and it's very inexpensive compared to the big names, but in my opinion, it's just as good. Um, I would put it on my house. Actually, I did put it on my house. It's fantastic. But you can't get manufacturer warranties and things like that using those knockoff products. But yeah, they're all good. It's just you just got to use one. At least use it.
Yeah, just pick something and actually use it.
Yep.
Okay, makes sense. Um, and just I'm coming from a fairly uneducated background when it comes to actually installing roofs. What is there not like different types of underlayment for different types of roofing materials, or like different pitches or different environments? Is there no factor there?
Yeah, I'm actually dealing with something right now, and I'm actually a little bit uneducated in this certain particular application. I've got a customer that wants me to go up into the mountains about 4 hours away to some really harsh climate. I mean, this is 120, 150 inches of snow a year, um, negative temperatures for a significant part of the year. We don't. It's just a totally different atmosphere than what I'm accustomed to, and I know of some applications similar, but this is even more extreme than I'm used to. But yes, there's, like when we do like a standing seam metal install, we put a self-adhered underlayment, kind of like an ice guard under the entire roof. Um, on your leading edges and up your rakes, you use a self-adhered ice and watertight underlayment, and then just a felt of some sort throughout the field of the roof. Um, and there's different, there's good, better, best on felt as well. I know some guys that do tile, and they're offering, different qualities of felt because tile is tile. The felt underneath is kind of your waterproofing barrier. And if you're willing to spend more money, you get a little bit better leak protection. So I'm sure there's differences, and I know there's good, better, and best. I just think that, like, we put on GAF roofs every day. I use GAF felt every day. I don't, that's what we use every time. Do I think it's the best? I know it's not the best. But I think it does serve its purpose, and it's a fantastic product. And for what you're trying to do, it's the right right product for the job.
I like it. Makes sense. Next question. How do I handle an insurance claim in roofing? How is it different from retail?
I treat it just like retail, so it doesn't really matter to me. I have never wrote an Exactimate. I have never ordered an Exactimate. I do not line item my quotes, and we sell work to insurance companies. We are not a storm company, so don't get that mistaken. I mean, it's not that we're out looking for that work, but if our phone rings and they're going through their insurance company to pay for this project, we don't care, but we're just not going to bend the knee to the insurance company because we really don't give a shit. So if they want to hire us, which that's their right, even through their insurance company, they have the right to choose who they hire. But we are not obligated to do anything. We have our process. That's the process for everybody that calls, and we don't make exceptions. We get homeowners that want an itemized quote. It's X if you do the project, it's 0 if you don't. That's the items. It's real simple. I mean, we're not breaking it down because it's just too often that person wants to, well, I've got 3 bundles of shingles in my garage. I could take that off the bill for $100. And I have some old drip edge laying around. I could put that on for you too. No, we do it all and it's one price, or we do 0 of it and it's 0. It's really, really simple. And we don't care if it's insurance, retail, whatever. We treat it as retail. Residential retail is how we sell every project.
I like that. So you never tried to like match what's on the Exactimate or anything like that?
Don't give a shit what that Exactimate says. Honest to God, I could care less. We don't even ask for them. You can throw that in the trash. If we're doing it, this is what we're paying or what we're charging. Yeah. And we're not trying to be rude or hard to deal with. That's not at all the point. That we want to help that customer get the roof. Don't get me wrong. We want to help our people. We want to help our customers. But we're not going to completely change our business model to appease an insurance adjuster. It's not happening. You're going to try to cut my throat and cut my throat and cut my throat and take food off my table. I'm not interested. I'm going to sell this job how I sell every other job. And we're going to make the margins we need to make to have a successful roofing business. Because if I follow your journey, I'm going out of business and I can't warranty the jobs that I've done for my customers. So that's how we do it. I know there's people who have success other ways. It's just not for us. That's how we sell insurance.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've so John's the same way, Peach Tit Roofing. But we have customers that are trying to match the Exactimate, are trying to do line items for everything. Just ran into this the other day. Somebody was trying to completely match the Exactimate, and Exactimate apparently has fractional quantities, which makes no sense to me. Like, how can you have a fraction of a bundle? Like, you can't buy fractions of bundles from your supplier. So why would that be on the Exactimate? But apparently it is. So he was trying to match that, and I'm like, well, what we're generating is an order for your supplier, and the supplier wants to have a whole number of what you want from that quantity. So yeah, I'd like, we're never going to be able to do fractional quantities. But like we did implement a system for recently in ProLine where you can override the price, the line item price. So like, whereas before it was only what was calculated from the line items, you can override that now and just say like it's X, so you can match the Exactimate like that. But I think one of the things I'm trying to understand is what is the reason why some contractors are trying to match the Exactimate? Is it just to try to like get a little bit extra margin? What's the advantages there?
I don't think there's an advantage. I think it's more so they want to win the job and they need to work. And that's kind of how they're getting, because if essentially if they match the Exactimate, The insurance agent's cutting the check. That stops any back and forth. There's no more um there's no more arguing about it. It's done. You have accepted their terms, and that's what you're going to do the project for. But see, I know this much about insurance, and I mean it's this much. So don't get too carried away with me. But I do know that can all be negotiated. If they're telling you that they're going to pay for a 3/4 of a box of nails and a half a bundle of shingles, it's not. That's not fair, and there's no way that legally is right. All you have to do is take the minute and say, hey, this Exactimate looks pretty good, but there's 3 line items on here that are a fractional item that nowhere in the world can be bought in a fraction of. You got to get round this up to the next whole number. And let me tell you something. If there's an insurance adjuster that won't do that, you need to go to the desk adjuster or go to the next guy or go to the manager, because that's crazy. But yeah, the one other thing that I'll say that with Exactimates, there's just too much crap. There's too much you got to look at. We had a storm here about a year ago to the day almost, and we weren't chasing the insurance work, but our phone was ringing off the hook just because of our local outreach, and all these, we had this, it was one company, and everybody knows who they are, the worst insurance company in the freaking country. And so I'm in this piece of Ohio, up in this pocket of Ohio where property value's pretty decent. He was using the zip code for Southern West Virginia, where property value is significantly less, as how he was bidding his Exactimates. So he just happened to be on like 5 or 6 different jobs that we were quoting as the adjuster. And he starts sending us these Exactimates, and come to find out, we're like, why in the hell are we so much higher? Like, it was significant, like 15%. And everywhere else, we were pretty close to being in line. It was close enough that homeowners were hiring us and just paying the extra couple $100 or sticking the extra couple $100 in their pocket, right? Like, we were right there, pit for pat. This one, we just wasn't even close. We finally really read into the Exactimate. He's using like a Beckley, West Virginia zip code for projects up in Southeast Ohio. And, as soon as we called him out, he changed the zip code. We were under his bid. His Exactimate went up, 15%, just changing. So you really got to pay attention. And those guys are so snaky, dude. It's their job. It's what they're told to do. But
yeah, their job is to not pay out.
Their job is to cut as much funding to their customers as possible. That's literally what they're hired to do. And hey, they're getting paid to do it. So unfortunately, it's a bad position for them. But you got to be the hero to show up at the end of the day and make sure that customer gets taken care of.
Yeah. So it seems like maybe, especially for newer like roofing contractors just getting into the space, maybe they're doing their first insurance job. It's like, don't assume that the insurance company knows what they're talking about, or that they're even giving you a fair number up front. Like, it's not, whatever they're sending you is not necessarily what you have to match or accept.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You need to charge what you need to charge for the job for it to make sense, and let the homeowner deal with the insurance company. Or I guess there's the whole like contingency thing, which you don't do, but maybe in some markets it's necessary to kind of get into that and kind of negotiate on behalf of the homeowner. But yeah, makes sense. Next question here. How can a roofing company differentiate itself in a crowded market through branding and marketing?
Johnny, you want to jump in a little bit on that one?
Yeah, I can jump in here. Scott and I have kind of gone back and forth on this, and with the rebrand that we did for Rain Stoppers, we obviously accounted for this. The biggest thing here is consistency across all touch points with the clients. If you look at all of the elements that touch the customer, whether it's a door hanger, a billboard, the proposal, what else? The way you talk on
On
the phone with the
Facebook.
customer, Facebook, yeah, your social media, anything, even like look at Scott's outfit, like his hat and his shirt, like everything we do, we make sure is consistent with the brand, and it really creates an image in the eyes of a customer that is out like long-standing and allows the customer to really recognize who you are in every single one of these spots. In a saturated market where you kind of separate yourself from the bunch is what we did was we kind of came up with a bright, flashy color. We came up with a cool mascot, a cool name that's easy to remember, kind of rolls off the tongue, and it's something that is different than what everybody else is doing. I I don't say that you necessarily need to rebrand to have to do that. Scott was in a bit of a different situation or scenario here, but in order to stand out, like making sure that you're consistent across all of your platforms is definitely key because I see people with mismatched colors. Their trucks look all different. Like it really makes you look like you don't know what you're doing when you're not put together uh, on all of your fronts.
I'll add to that by saying, even if you're not doing a full rebrand, keeping the name, keeping who you are as a company, there's nothing wrong with that. That's good. But to if you're saying you're struggling to gain brand awareness and whatnot in your market, even if you keep your name, do a bunch of research. I did a ton of research in markets that I'm in and markets I'm wanting to go to. Right. So what I researched was all the best companies in the area. I looked at their color scheme. I looked at the mascot, their logo. I literally tried to do anything they didn't do. So in all the markets that we are in currently, there was nobody that was orange and blue. There really is nobody in those markets that even was dominantly orange. So we went with I mean, it's like fluorescent orange almost. But it looks good. Like our truck wraps turned out really easy on the eye. It's not like I mean, good. I mean, the hat's like, it's not so like blinding that no one wants to look at it. But you got to do the market research, understand what your competitors are doing, and then do something completely different. Go with we were going to do purple and yellow. That was the original plan, was purple and yellow. And because we're in Ohio and that's LSU colors, it just probably wasn't going to work out real good. But um, that was a thought we were, because there was nobody that was doing it, and it's so vibrant, so wild, you wouldn't miss it. Like you would not miss a wrapped purple and yellow truck driving down the road. So that's where I would start. But then go to what Jonah said. You can't just do the one truck in purple and yellow and the rest of them stay white with blue lettering. You got to do it all. Everybody's got to match. Everybody's got to be in the same boat, and then every form of marketing you do has to match it.
Another thing, Scott and I have kind of gone back and forth about this with the oversaturation in the paid ad market. There's a lot of opportunity for you to look at organic ways to grow, whether it's sponsoring your youth football, baseball, softball leagues, Founders Day parades, any sort of those um, community action type of opportunities, putting your name on a shopping cart at your local grocery, little things like that. It's another point where you can get in touch with your audience and show your face and your community. That's really going to set you apart in this saturated market. Everybody thinks the solution is throw as much money as you possibly can into Facebook or Google ads. In reality, like there's cheaper ways to do that and more efficient ways to do that at a smaller scale, especially if you're a local business.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people's mindset in terms of the consumer's point of view is local is better than corporate.
Yeah. Yeah. And to piggyback on that, I mean, everyone, that might sound like outdated advice, and it might have been like 5 years ago, or maybe even 3 or 4 years ago. But the balance has shifted where it's so saturated online now that these physical mediums for advertising are now all the prices on those have all dropped because everyone went to digital. And then also there's still work, like being on the shopping cart of the grocery store or the billboard or the little league sponsorship, all these things, like they still work. They're still advertising. They're still getting your brand in front of people, but it's just about, Gary Vee is like his Gary Vee, but like day trading attention, he likes to talk about that. And that's what you got to look at is like, where can I get the attention for the cheapest? And like sometimes it's online, but like right now it's really hard to get that with paid ads online right now. It's just so saturated everywhere. Whereas like that now it's like the prices have all dropped on physical advertising. So maybe that's the route to go. So it's kind of like being aware of those things and not just following the trends because everybody wants an easy answer of like, oh, do this. But it's not always that simple. Like right now, I think absolutely, Jonah, you're right. But if someone watches this in 2 years from now, they're going back and looking at recordings and watching this. It might not be true in 2 years. There might be a new social media platform that's just like very affordable to advertise on, and they need to be going there. So
Well, marketing is very fluid. Like it's always
Very fluid.
changing. People's mindsets and perception of the space, especially for contractors, is constantly changing. Like you
yeah,
got to build your own credibility uh, in the community on your own by providing quality service. I know people in the construction space that are going out of their way to make sure that their customers are satisfied and leaving with that handshake, like, hey, like you guys did a good job. Like that goes a long way now. Like people are like like you said, this kind of sounds like an outdated piece of advice, but like I really see things kind of going back to how things were in 2012, 2014. And there's a lot of opportunity for people to grow their brand by just being a good contractor and providing quality service.
yeah. And there's so much noise and there's so much noise on online now that a lot of people are just shit, like they're turning off the social media. Like there's a whole group of the population that just doesn't pay attention to social media because they're just burnt out on it. And so it's like, yeah, it's so fluid. You're exactly right with that, I think. And that's like there's a right now answer, today answer, and then there's like a long-term answer. The long-term answer is like you gotta go with those trends. You gotta be able to see where things are at the given moment. So the other thing I was gonna say, that is almost always valuable. Now, where you do this may change, but the concept is almost always valuable or a lot longer lasting in the marketing space, and that is answering people's questions. And everyone talks about, write blog posts or do this or do that. And it might not always be a blog post. It might not always be a video. It might not always be, a Facebook post or whatever it is. So the channel is going to change. But if you answer the people's questions in your community, not just about roofing, but if you can also be answering questions through some medium or another about like, best restaurants in town, the it's local sports news. Like there is, if you can find anything that's going to draw attention at the end of the day that you can be associated with and add value to the community for free, essentially, and then that attracts attention to you, and then you can piggyback on that by being associated with it to build your local brand. Anything that is a giving of free value up front is going to attract attention. All right. Let me go back up to let's see if we have any other questions here. All right. What is the right way to handle an in-person roofing inspection? What should I be looking for when I arrive at someone's house?
I feel like this takes a little bit more training than a 2 minute spiel because we
We
were
take all the
very.
time we want. We can take the
Yeah, I
rest
mean,
of the
I'm
call.
just saying roofing inspections are pretty important. That's you're going to give a customer a report to potentially inform them that they're needing to spend 20, 25, $30,000. Like, so what you're getting ready to go do is is not just important to your livelihood, but you're really getting ready to affect a humongous life decision for that homeowner. So we take it very seriously. You know, if we document, I- I'll just tell you what we do in a nutshell. Most of our inspections are somewhere between 50 and 100 company cam photos. In those photos, we're looking for nail pops. We're looking for lifted shingle edges. We're looking for curling. We're looking for all the flashings. I'm step flashing, end wall flashing, chimney cap, whether it's concrete or metal. We're looking at everything. The cap, ridge cap. I mean, we're checking the gutters out, making sure that they're not plugged, making sure they're clean, making sure they're working, they're functioning. I'm trying to think what else right offhand. The valleys are clean, no debris in the valleys, laying in there, backing water up. You know, residential roofing is very easy. It's a very easy concept. It literally it depends all on watershed. Water runs from top to bottom, and as long as you understand how a shingle roof or even a metal roof in the residential business works, there's not a ton to go wrong that's hard to find. Usually, I mean, for us, we're very good about finding leaks. We understand where those problem areas can be, and they're usually pretty easy to find. But we document the hell out of it. We had a sales meeting this morning. We're going to switch, I believe, because after the sales meeting, me and one of the sales guys were discussing some things, and I think we're going to switch from photos to a video. We're going to, instead of doing the 50 to 100 company cam photos, we're going to try to do one video and then maybe a few select pictures. But that way, and I think it will be a lot faster for our guys. If they're getting up there walking around, they have to take a picture and then type a note with a certain photo. Instead, just to hit record, walk around, and you can talk as you're, showing that, okay, there's that chimney flash. Okay, the chimney flashing, the top edge is coming out of the counter flashing, the brick has got a crack, and the chimney cap is busted. Yeah, whatever. You can discuss that in conversation format as you're walking. Now the only alternative we do is when we show up to something that's steep or just not fit to walk on. We do use drones, basically in the exact same fashion. Just take a bunch of drone photos, then we upload those in the company cam to where we can put notations on those photos. But it's easy once you understand that how a roof works, how it's designed, how it retains water out of the house. Once you understand like how the bare bones of a roof system actually works, it's pretty easy to do an inspection, but it's also a very important task in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you, when you guys are at someone's home, are they usually there watching you guys, or is it usually done without them there, or what's the typical?
We want them there. Our goal is to schedule it with them there. We have found, and we've done plenty of our own tests and plenty of our own studies on our business. If we can get in front of a customer, our chances of sales are about 4 times greater. So, not because we're snake oil salesmen, but because once they meet us, they trust us. They understand that we're not just looking to take their money. We're there with their best interest in mind. And even though we might not be the cheapest, we want to give them the best product that we possibly can. So it's not all about getting as much profit out of a project as possible. But for us, it truly is about taking care of the customer while still making enough profit to run a successful business that can be in this market for a long time to continue taking care of customers.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Because that's one thing that I've thought about just talking to a lot of guys about in the inspection process. And it wasn't roofing, but when I was selling pest control, we would do inspections as part of our sales process. And it just seemed like when the homeowner was there, you can kind of be performative to a certain degree where it's like for example, I wasn't even supposed to do this, but I would like get down in someone's crawl space and like shine the light around and take some photos. And like technically I wasn't supposed to, and nor was it like that important to for pest control unless they had something specific going on. But it was just once you took that extra step, the homeowner trusted that much more because they're like, oh, like they're actually going in and looking at everything, and then being able to show the pictures and stuff like that. So it just seems like because I think some people might have the argument that like, oh, we don't need to be in person. We don't need to have the homeowner there. Um, we can just use the satellite or the measurements that we get from Eagle View or Roofer or wherever. So like we can just use that and we don't actually have to go to the house. What would be your response to that? Is it just that it's just
You can try it. We did. We tried it. We really, really want. I mean, going into last season, our goal, and because of what we were trying to do with Proline and what we were trying to do with a couple other pieces of tech, our goal was to push a online sales or a not. We called it a virtual meet or a virtual quote. And we still offer that service. We just hate it. Like we don't want to. There's just some people that work crazy hours or they just are completely against meeting. But I can guarantee you our success rate is I think the number was 4 times greater when we got to meet with that homeowner during the inspection. So I mean, you take that for what you will, but I mean, you're paying a lot of money for freaking leads right now, guys. And if you can increase your close rate by 4x, you better be doing it because there's not that many leads out there to get right now, and the ones that you're getting are you're paying a shitload for.
yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. All right. We kind of already covered this, but this question is what content do I need to be pushing out as a roofer to get the interest of local prospects? So I think this is more specifically for organic content. What types of content?
Well, at the highest level, I think that like video content is king at the moment. Um, from what I've seen, stuff that looks more organic and not as much some static Canva design that you come up with is going to get a more engagement than anything else. It really depends on what your goals are. If you're looking for engagement, you're looking for people to like and share and follow you, good quality organic content, whether you're talking about a project, you're talking about the industry, talking about the company, like your personal face or somebody on your team's face is going to perform light years better than any other bit of content that you could possibly put out. It really just depends on your goals.
So lots of video content. In your experience, blog posts have been really powerful for a long time. What's the status on blog post content at the moment as of
Okay. Yeah. So
April 2024?
there's a lot of discussions in the SEO and digital marketing industry about blog content and what that looks like. As long as you're writing your own content, doing it organically about relative content, it's still going to help you. Like SEO isn't going anywhere anytime soon. If you're creating content that's relevant to what people are searching, Google has a free tool called Search Console where you can search trends and see what people are searching. Look for high search volume keywords in your area related to your industry and write content about that. Just whatever you do, don't use ChatGPT to write all of your content and then throw it on the website thinking those 1,500 words are going to provide value because Google's eventually going to find that and ding you for it. But
Yeah.
organic search is king. Like that's the best type of customer you're going to get besides a referral. That's somebody who organically found you. They liked your website. They liked what they read. They liked what they saw, and they converted. That means your brand did what it's supposed to do. It created authority and it created a sense of secure fulfillment that the customer was looking for, enough to a point that they scheduled an appointment with you. So I think content is definitely important from an organic perspective.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that, Scott?
I agree. I mean, that's that. Jonah and I talk about this every day, so
Yeah.
we're on the same page on this whole question.
Yeah.
That's actually what I've been working on all day today for Scott. I've got like a 30-page SEO report that I put together on actions to take for the new website. Obviously, with the rebrand and the name change, we're kind of playing catch up on the SEO game, and a lot of it's related around relative content to what people are searching for.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right. Do I need to have sales scripts for my roofing sales guys?
We don't. Um, we have a few little pieces of. We have sales strategy. I don't want to call it a script because it's not a script. Because if you talk like a robot, you're not going to sell shit. Um, eh, you got to. We're working. We're training a new person to answer our phones this week, and we created a script for her, but it's not even a script. It's an outline. Here's like key things that we need from this conversation, but don't read this. Just understand I need to know this, 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 and this. However you get there, do it through a conversational format, not through a brain dead robot reading from a paper. We have a few things in our sales strategy that need to happen every time. Certain things like we've got a couple questions that we ask right off the get go to really basically understand the pain points of that customer. That way we can, respond with some way to relieve that customer that we are the right person for this project. One of the other big ones that we use is in our strategy is a pre-close. And I don't know how many people do that. I think it works really well. So, and this is kind of scripted but each guy kind of says it in their own way. The goal is to basically understand if we did a good job as a sales rep, explaining everything, presenting everything. So before we write our quote on the spot, we go to the truck, jump on the computer that's mounted in the truck. There's a printer in there. We write the quote, we print it, we walk it back to the customer. But before we do that, we've done the full inspection. We've given them all the details on the products, the warranties, everything. They know everything that we're getting ready to give them a price on. So only thing missing is price. So before we go to the truck and write that quote, we do a pre-close and we ask a very simple question. Is there anything other than price that would keep you from signing our contract? Or is there anything from outside of price that would keep you from hiring Rain Stoppers Roofing? Something along those lines. And, you hope that they say, no, price is the only thing I'm, waiting to see. But at least if that gives them an opportunity, well, I still just don't understand the warranties. That gives you a chance before you leave that appointment to reiterate, you understand what you're talking about. You know what? We didn't go over that good enough. Let's go sit back down. Let me write this quote up, and before I give it to you, I want to explain those warranties to you a little bit more in depth. Or I want to explain the products that we're going to be giving you a little bit deeper. It just gives you a chance to make up if you missed something that you didn't answer a question that maybe didn't even get asked, but now you're putting that in front of them. To where when you give them a quote, the only thing stopping you from getting that project, hopefully, is the price. That's about the only thing we have that's scripted. The rest of it, we've got guys that sell. I've got one guy that's not a salesman whatsoever, and he's just the smartest freaking guy in the group, and he's been a roofer for years, running multiple crews, multiple job sites. He sells strictly on knowledge, and he sells just as good as everybody. I've got other guys that's never nailed a shingle in their life that are salesmen through and through, that they started in sales out of school and that's all they've ever done. They sell fantastic too. They do it totally different. Their script that they have for themselves is not the same whatsoever. So I don't provide that. You figure out how to sell on your own. We just give you a few things, a few little pieces of the puzzle that will kind of help navigate through that script idea.
Yep. That makes sense. I like that approach. Do you consider that to be right for everybody? Or do you think that there is a world in which people could have a script that was good enough in some markets where maybe that would work? Or
I think the only place a script works is inside sales, not outside sales.
Yeah.
Outside sales is not the same. And that's where, I mean, let's be real. I have to think that's where I'm going off of just this little part of the world I live in, but it would be 90% of sales is outside sales. You know, that we don't turn it over to, an inside salesperson till it's, a cold lead. And at that point, our chances of selling it are not real good. But at that point, yeah, absolutely, you can have a script. But when you're going out and shaking a person's hand, best saying I ever heard. Write this down because this is the best thing I ever heard. Corey Adams, a friend of mine, told me this. When you walk up to the door and the dog comes up and sniffs you, pet the damn dog. And he like lived on that. It's like, because guess what? You pet the dog. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Guess what happens? You just made a relationship. It's already foot in the door. They see that you like their dog. The dog's sniffing. You're all good. They're happy to have you. You already made a relationship. You cower down and act scared of the dog or act like, something, it's over. You might as well just get back in this rock, but Corey always said, pet the damn dog. And I always thought that was the best freaking advice for sales that you could get.
Yeah. And I guess it probably applies not even if they don't have a dog, just like find some way to connect. Yeah.
It's just the same. You see a picture on the wall of their kids in baseball. Man, I got a little boy that's playing baseball right now too. Or, they've got some really nice petunias out front and the wife's out there. And man, my wife's got flowers just like that. Man, yours look better. Done. You sold it. Like those little things, those little details, you make a relationship, and that's how you're going to make a sale, especially in today's market where it's so freaking hard to sell right now.
Yeah. Yep. That makes sense. All right. Let's do one more question. All right. Question here. How do you convince your customers to leave reviews?
I think we all probably have a take on this. I mean, the first things first is providing quality service that leaves them happy and excited that you did the project for them. Next is probably communication, making sure the sales rep is actively putting that idea in the customer's head after that contract signed. Hey, I want to provide quality work for you, and it's important for your feedback so that I know what I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong. After the job's closed out, sending out that communication. Hey, can you guys take a second to leave a review? It helps me with hitting my metrics for the year, or it helps me win a sales contest or whatever that may be. But the biggest thing is this communication, letting the customer know once that contract's signed, like that you're expecting that at some point.
Yeah. Like letting them know it's coming.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, just FYI, like, once once the invoice is paid, you'll be getting an email and a text from me asking to leave a review. Just want to make sure, let you know that's coming. Would really appreciate your feedback. It's really important to us and me, and that's not just a random message. That's actually really important. Something like that.
Yeah.
Let me follow up on that because I want to explain a little deeper because we are kicking ass on Google reviews, and it's because of Proline. Get freaking Proline. You want Google reviews? It's worked for us. We're almost 30% success rate on jobs we sell. We get a 5-star review. 30%. I mean, I don't know. I have to think that's doing really well. And mind you, we're putting zero time into it. Like it's all automated. So we're getting 30% without actually trying. We make sure we're very intentional about our automated messaging, and it all starts with the appointment reminders. So one of our appointment reminders is literally a screenshot of like 3 5-star Google reviews. So right off the rip, when they're scheduling an appointment with us, they're already understanding this is what we're trying to do. We want you to do this, right? I think the message says something like, just wanted to share some 5-star Google reviews with us. Be sure to go check out our GMB page. Something like that. So they already are like, they recognize this means something to us. This matters. We got 150 of these things in this one location, and they're all 5-star except 1 or 2. Like this matters to us. Then if they sign the contract, the wording in our messages, I think the very first sentence, if I'm thinking right, we plan to give you a 5-star experience. Like we're reiterating that 5-star, like, and then once we get done, it goes into a review campaign where they get a few messages just with the link right to our GMB page. Please, if you were happy with our project, please go to this link, type a quick review, and leave us 5 stars. It's so simple and takes zero effort. We build it one time, we type the messaging in one time, and now it just runs and we don't do anything about it. I think we've got 2 today. This week, I think we've gotten 5 total. I mean, and we're not even working hardly right now because it's been raining like crazy and crappy weather. So, I mean, once season kicks off, we start hammering them out. We get a ton of them. So it works, but you got to have an automation tool that's doing it for you, or really put the effort in yourself. Either way, you got to start teeing it up right at the beginning. You got to tee up that thought right at the beginning.
I think it's similar to sales follow-up in that people are really scared to piss their customers off. And they're scared, especially when there's like, they've asked for a review and there's no response. They think, oh no, I can't ask again. Like that's going to piss them off to get. And the reality is like, people are just busy. Like most people, if you actually got down with every single customer out of, 100 customers, you sat down with every single one of them, have their undevoted attention and say, hey, would you like to leave a Google review for this company? Like a very large percentage of them are going to say, yeah, they did a good job. Like if it takes me no time to do it, I will do it. But the reality is like, you don't have their undivided attention. Once the job is done and they've paid, like they're on to living their life. They're really not thinking about you and your company at all. So to get that review, you have to remind them it like multiple times. Like it's going to be very unlikely they're going to even respond many times to that first request. You have to continue to request, and it may feel annoying from the side of the asking side, but from the homeowner side, like they're just busy. It's like they're not even paying attention to how many times you message them. It's just one of those times after you hit them 3, 4, maybe even 5 times, they're going to click the link and they're just going to do it. And they're not even going to think twice about how many times you asked for it.
Yep.
Unless in some cases, but it's like if someone's really pissed off about you asking for a review, it's how many times has someone gotten pissed off, Scott, at people at like the
0,
request?
because we know that they're assholes and we take them out of the campaign.
Yeah. You don't
0.
even send it
like,
to them.
You just know. Yeah. You know that person is just not a nice person or not a good customer or not a good, just stop all automated communications, and let them. It's no problem. You did the job. They're happy enough to not bitch and raise hell. They're just not a nice person. So don't poke the bear. But at the same time, I mean that's one in 100 people. Like maybe it's not like there's that many people that are that way. There's a handful a year that you make sure you pause their automations just because they're just not nice people.
Yep. No, it makes sense. Anything else to add, Jonah?
No, I think they hit the nail on the head.
Cool. All righty. So we'll finish there. And thanks for all the questions. And we will see everybody next week.